On today's Hot Sheet, I discuss junk fees for renters, apartment market conditions, and Zillow's 30 largest metro markets. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Okay, good morning and welcome back to the Hot Sheet. If you are on the live stream, let me know in the comments which market you are tuning in from. Good morning, Ruthie. Good morning, Kim. Hope you guys are doing well and starting the day off right. Yesterday at about 8:06 p.m. to be exact, Rich Barton, the CEO of Zillow, sent out a tweet. He rarely does tweet. This one was in support of a new White House fact sheet. Let's take a look at exactly what Rich Barton said. Renters need transparent information about all, capital ALL, the costs that go into renting, not just the asking price. Turning on the lights. Side note, that happens to be one of his favorite phrases about the industry. I've always, that phrase has always made me fringe, not, it's always made me cringe, not fringe. Not because of him, but he does like to use that one again. Turning on the lights, Rich says, in real estate is part of Zillow's DNA. It's great to see our new feature that puts the power of renters' hands, highlighted by at White House today. I know what he means by turning on the lights. I agree with it. And somebody in my past used to always use that phrase, and so that's why I'm against it. The White House tweet that he quoted was, hidden junk fees and rental housing affects tens of millions of Americans. President Biden has secured commitments from not only Zillow, but Apartmentscom and AffordableHousing.com to launch new tools on their websites that show renters hidden fees up front. So, sounds great. What are the facts? Well, luckily, the White House put out a fact sheet so we can get the facts. We know exactly what they will be per the fact sheet. So let's take a look at that. The Biden-Harris administration takes on junk fees and rental housing to lower costs for renters. Major rental housing platforms, the three we just mentioned, and several states, we'll get to those in a minute and exactly what they're doing, join the president's effort to crack down on rental housing junk fees for consumers and increase transparency. Okay, so what is a junk fee? A junk fee would be fees that are outside of the rent. If it's $2,000 for rent, all of a sudden they're considering junk fees, maybe a trash fee or an application fee or reviewing the application process fee. There are start of the year fees. They get into that here on the fact sheet. Today, meaning yesterday, President Biden announced a new front on his crackdown on junk fees, which is now rental housing. So from repeated rental application fees, this is a big problem. Where if you're somebody looking for an apartment in a tight inventory situation, you don't get the first apartment. Well, you paid, I don't know, let's call it $40 for a rental application fee. And then you got to go apply somewhere else. So you pay another 40 or another 50, maybe that one's 80. And then you do that 3, 4, 5 times. You haven't even secured an apartment, and you could be hundreds of dollars into fees just for your application. So in a tight inventory situation, this becomes a bigger issue. Okay, and this is what the White House is trying to address here. From repeated rental application fees to surprise convenience fees. Okay, and this is where we'll get into these. Some of these might be debatable. Millions of families incur burdensome costs in the rental application process, and throughout the duration of their lease, these fees are often more than the actual cost of providing the service. What do they mean by that? So maybe a background check and a background check and a credit check might total $50, but the landlord or the property manager is charging $100. Remember, if there's a property manager involved, they got to make their 15 to 20% off the top of everything that happens. Okay, so a landlord's argument would be, well, there's time involved in taking in these applications and reviewing the process or paying the property manager to do that. And that's why there's a higher fee. But that's what they mean by not more than the actual cost. That's what the White House is trying to push. Provide the fee service at the fee cost of the service. Okay. Rental housing fees can be a serious burden on renters. Our rental applications can be up to 100 or more per application. And importantly, they often exceed the actual cost of conducting the background and credit checks. Given the prospective renters often apply for multiple units over the course of their housing search, these application fees can add up to hundreds of dollars. Even after renters secure housing, they are surprised to be charged. And here's where you might debate some of these other junk fees or convenience fees. Okay. So, including convenience fees to pay rent online. All right. Well, this one I actually have a problem with. Okay. If you have a business right now where you're charging people any fee online, a lot of times that platform is taking a fee from you. Okay, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5% of whatever you're charging the consumer. So you own a business, you're providing a service. By the way, BAMX down below. This happens in BAMX. You should be in BAMX if you're a real estate agent. You want to better your marketing and better your business. It's available down with the code Jerome for 10% off. But the platform that we've built BAMX out on, they charge us a fee. Okay, so there's a fee associated with that. And how about credit card fees? There's a lot of credit card fees that go into online payments. So, it's almost like on this particular issue. Now, again, I just said I agree that tenants shouldn't have to, do a rental application fee 10 times in the process of their search or a credit check 10 times. I think it's ridiculous. But when there's an extra fee for online payments, for the convenience of online payments, that's a credit card company deal. Okay, so you could take your time. I haven't seen anybody go after the credit cards on these fees. Think about this. I saw a video the other day where it's like, they're trying to get rid of cash. And I don't know if there's a conspiracy video, but it did make you think. So if you have $100 bill and you go to the grocer and you give them the $100 bill, and then the grocer, physically the $100 bill, cash money, as Randy Moss used to say, cash money, homie. You give it to the grocer, $100 bill. The grocer gets her haircut, and the hairdresser has got the $100, and then she goes and goes to the local spa and gets a spa treatment. The $100 passes around. You can see where it goes. 23rd time, the spa person needs a babysitter. Babysitter gets the $100. $100 just keeps going around. When you spend $100 online, there's going to be a charge to the credit card company. Okay, so that $100, if it's 2%, 3%, the $100 just went down to $97. Now, the person who let's just use the example, the grocer's got the $97. They go and buy something online. Well, now the credit card company hit 2 or 3% off of that $97. And you can see that over time, the same 20 times that same $100 circulates, at the end, it eventually goes down to zero. And who's got the $100? The credit card companies and the banks. Okay. Are the banks and this is where the conspiracy gets in, or who are the banks in line with here? Okay. We're going to stay away from that. But anyways, convenience fees being passed on to the consumer, I don't necessarily blame the property owner. Okay, how about fees for things like mail sorting and trash collection? Well, trash collection costs money. Okay, if it's not included in the taxes, if it's not included in the property taxes of that municipality, well, then the landlord is paying somebody to come and do the trash service. So the argument is, and you could put in the comments where you are on this, does the trash service, should that be a fee, a junk fee, a convenience fee, as the fact sheet is putting it? Should it be included in the overall rent? What happens if that trash fee, the price that's being charged to the landlord, goes up 3 months into the lease? Can't change the lease. So should it be a fee where it can fluctuate with inflation from the trash companies? Should it be included in the rent? I think that one has some merits to be debatable. And then this one here does seem absolutely ridiculous. so-called January fees, which are charged for no clear reason at the beginning of a new calendar year. Now, I'm not very familiar with January fees, where it's like, okay, you've been here 3 years and now it's 2024. We're gonna bang you for an extra $150. Just Happy New Year. I haven't heard of that one. Maybe you have. Let me know in the comments if there are January fees in some of the leases that you've seen. Maybe you own some rental properties and you're charging January fees. Love to know. Love to know why. I think you'd actually maybe want to give, somebody's been there 3 years and new calendar year turns over. You might want to buy them a gift, maybe a nice bottle of their favorite red or something. I don't know that you'd want to charge them a January fee for being a long-standing, good-paying tenant. Seems odd to me, but that's one that they want to get rid of. So basically, here's the deal with the hidden fees: is if you're going and looking for apartments, you're looking at the top line number, and that's what's going to be advertised. That's going to be the marketing, $2,000 a month. But when you figure out all the hidden fees, it could be a $21, $22, $2,300 a month deal. You might have, turned down a $2,100 or a $2,075 month rent, or not even looked at it, who was including all those fees because you thought you were getting a lower price. And then in the end, when you figure it out, once you've already moved in, you're like, oh, and I get it. You should read the lease. These leases are long, and there's actually a great, I think it's one of the states. We'll get to the states. There's a great change to leasing. I think that'll help. Okay. And so I'll give my perspective on these leases. I think they're too long and too confusing for the average person. If you're a real estate professional, like most of us here, you read this stuff in contracts all the day, all the time. If you don't read contracts, you're not in the contract sales business, leasing business. You go to rent an apartment, you get a 13-page lease. I mean, it's you're just not going to understand the whole thing. There's no way. So hidden fees not only take money out of people's pockets, but they also make it more difficult to comparison shop. That example that I just gave. Okay, so we'll link this up in BAMX, and I've got some charts later on in the show that are going to be in the daily download. We're going to link this up so you can get to it. There's a whole bunch of links out. So here are the new. Here's the president's outline. Okay. These are concrete steps in the administration's effort to crack down on rental junk fees and lower costs for renters. So there's these three major platforms: Zillow, Apartmentscom, and AffordableHousing.com. I just showed you Rich Barton's tweet from yesterday in full support of this. I'll show you in a second what Zillow has already done on the website, and that they're already out marketing on places like Twitter and social media. All right, so these three platforms have answered the president's call for transparency and will provide consumers with total upfront cost information on rental properties, which can be hundreds of dollars on top of the advertised rent. Okay, so here's exactly what it looks like with what Zillow is doing to make it transparent. This is a new Zillow tool that helps renters avoid unexpected costs. Renters deserve clear information about the costs associated with renting. That's why we developed the cost of renting summary. Okay, you can see here in this little video. I mean, the video is not really anything except just kind of showing you, okay, you can click here, get the bedrooms, get the estimated move-in cost. The estimated move-in cost calculates security deposit, application fee, administration fee, pet deposit, estimated one-time cost, all into that bottom section where your monthly costs, which might include a parking fee, a pet fee, the monthly rent, you got parking in some areas, you've all these different fees that kind of add up. This is giving you that one total price to comparison shop on the Zillow app. Now, Zillow is reliant on landlords and property owners to input that data. Okay, so what's the standard going to be for Zillow with these property owners, or with the landlords, or with the property managers? How high are they going to set that bar? I know some of the MLSs across the country have set a pretty low bar on the standard of what type of information you can input into the MLS. Has anybody in the comments seen an agent slap up one photo that says, still today in 2023, it's just a graphic and it says photos coming soon, and they don't even have photos up, and they have one sentence because they know the market is moving. They know there's tight inventory, and they're just going to get this thing slapped up, get the phone call ringing. Some of the marketing and information that's input on MLSs still today is embarrassing. And that's the MLS's fault. That's the local board's fault for not creating a standard for which listing agents have to adhere to. I can't, if you want to zoom that up, Haley, I might be able to read that comment. I can't read it. I don't know if it's something you want me to address or. If this is enacted, so talking about this Biden fact sheet, won't they just increase monthly rent to cover these costs? I feel all landlords will increase to cover, so just raise costs. Yeah, so good point. First of all, going back to the fact sheet, so we showed you what Zillow is doing, okay? And Zillow's got a press release as well. But here's the point: that the Biden administration, this is exactly what they're able to do. They're able to get Zillow, Apartments.com, and AffordableHousing.com to, go out there and create some tools around this. They've created new research from HUD, okay, and then they've also worked with some of the states who have actually done something, put legislative action across states. We'll go through all of the states because essentially the federal government can't do anything. There's nothing they can do. They're trying to lead from the top, basically. Hey, platforms, you guys got eyeballs. Help us out with this. They're playing ball. Let's do some research over here with HUD. And probably spend taxpayer dollar on research we could have gotten for free from Zillow, Apartments.com, and Affordable Housing. But we'll pay them to do that anyways. And then here's where you can really make a change at the state level. And so we're going to go through those. Now, to your point, will these fees ultimately get passed down to the consumer? Yes, and they absolutely will. But I think what they'll eliminate is, okay, I know what that comparison model. Okay, I know this is a true $2,500 a month, not $2,250. Here's the other issue, though, that you might start to see with a higher standard, harder legislation at the state level on some of these landlords and property managers. If you're collecting 50 applications and making a rip off of every one, you're willing to do that work. And it means more people get the opportunity to apply for the apartment. Okay. Now, if you're gonna do the work of the application process and basically make no money on it, do you want to review 50 or do you want to review 5? So are they going to start to weed people out that they meet in person based off of you can fill in the blank? That could be an issue there as well. Just kind of thinking about, what could be some of the fallouts there. Okay, so we went over what Zillow is doing. Let's go take a look at Apartments.com and AffordableHousing.com. Then we'll take a quick look at the states. Apartments.com is announcing that this year it will launch new calculator on its platform that will help renters determine the all-in price of desired unit. This will include all upfront costs as well as recurring monthly rents and fees. So similar to what Zillow's doing, okay? A calculation of what these total fees are going to be. Apartments.com lists 1.5 million active availabilities across more than 385,000 properties. So they get a lot of eyeballs on it. Again, what is the standard going to be in which they require landlords and property owners to input that data? Now, AffordableHousing.com, the nation's largest online platform dedicated solely to affordable housing, will require owners to disclose all refundable and non-refundable fees and charges upfront in their listings. So that's the strongest language I've seen. They will require owners to disclose all of these. They're also going to launch a new trusted owner badge. So this trusted owner badge is going to be kind of that ranking that you might see on Airbnb that protects renters from being charged these junk fees by identifying owners who have a history of adhering to best practices, including commitment to reasonable fee limits, no junk fees, and full fee disclosure. All right, let's look at what some of the states did. Colorado. I'm not going to read the House bill numbers for each one. I'm just going to tell you what they did. They allow prospective renters to reuse a rental application for up to 30 days without paying additional fees. They're also going to limit fees to tenants when landlords fail to provide a non-renewal notice that disguises fees as rent, and limits the amount a landlord can mark up a tenant for third-party services. Rhode Island limit rental application fees beyond the actual cost of obtaining a background check or credit check if the prospective tenant does not provide their own report. That's what I'm talking about. So, if you can only charge what the background check and the credit report is. That could incentivize some people to collect a lot of these. Okay, I'm just kind of giving you the side of that. I'm not saying I'm not for it. I'm just telling you, what could happen there. Minnesota will include a requirement for landlords to clearly display the total monthly payment and all non-optional fees on the first page of the lease agreement and in all advertisements. This is something I think every state should adopt. The first page of the lease should be a summary that must include every fee in bullet point form. Because sometimes when you read a lease, a 13-page lease, you might have monthly rent in one paragraph, and then page 3, you might have a fee in another paragraph, and then you might have to go to page 8 to get another fee in another paragraph explaining what that is. And so it's kind of like all over the place. I love what Minnesota did, where they're requiring a blueprint. They're requiring a standardized structure for the first page of the lease. You can have another 100 pages after that if you want. But on that first page of the lease and in all advertisements, you must break down in simple form all payments. Love that deal that Minnesota put together. Connecticut is going to prohibit a landlord from requiring a fee for processing, reviewing, or accepting a rental application and set a cap of $50 in the amount that can be charged. So they have a cap. Now, what's kind of silly about this, Connecticut, is okay, well, what if all of a sudden inflation happens? Not sure anybody heard of inflation. If that's a thing, if that can happen, you've got the code Jerome to get 10% off of BMX, by the way. Jerome Powell's meetings next week. But inflation happens and it costs the landlord more than $50 to screen these tenants. Okay, what are we going to wait for the government here to increase the cap? You got to show them evidence that it costs more. So putting a cap on a dollar amount, creates a bill that can get outdated very quickly. The law also prohibits move-in and move-out fees and certain fee-related lease provisions, including certain late fees related to utility payments. Maine prohibit a landlord from charging a fee to submit a rental application that exceeds the actual cost. So that one makes sense. Okay, instead of a cap, whatever the actual cost is, can't make any money off of that. Montana require landlords to refund application fees to unsuccessful rental applications, except any part of the fee used to cover costs related to reviewing the application. Interesting there. So I guess the person that gets the apartment could pay more in that scenario. California require mandatory disclosure of monthly rent rates, including disclosure of a range of payments, fees, deposits, or charges, and to prohibit certain fees from being charged. So what those certain fees are, not sure. Okay, so that's your full breakdown of what the White House is doing. Essentially, the federal government can't do much. They can rally the platforms. They've done a good job with that together. It'll be up to the platforms how high of a standard they want to set, right? Think MLSs. There's absolutely no standard a lot of the times on how you input information on a listing. And, so what standard is Zillow, Apartments.com, AffordableHousing.com going to actually have? The research on HUD that HUD put together is interesting. It's linked here. It's a 4-page PDF. It probably took them, hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars to put that 4-page PDF together, and they could have downloaded it from Zillow, but whatever. And then you've got states that are taking real action. And so that's what's happening there with the Biden administration junk fee initiatives that just rolled out yesterday in the rental market. And talking about apartments, the apartment market continues to loosen. This is great news for next week's FOMC meeting, when we actually see what the Fed is going to do with the federal interest rate. Now, the market is pricing in over a 90% chance that they're going to go ahead and increase it. That's the expectation. That's the expectation that we've been counting on since the last meeting when they basically skipped. Okay. But the good news is this apartment market continues to loosen, transactions pull back. And this is because of a rise in the cost of capital. So what they've done here has kind of worked, but it's also because of this increase in inventory. Both debt and equity capital continue to pull back from the apartment market, which amidst an environment of rising interest rates and slowing rent growth, noted the vice president of research, Caitlin Walter. As a result, transaction volume fell for the fifth consecutive quarter, which with current apartment owners unwilling to offer lower prices, buyers deem necessary to compensate for the diminished economic outlook. You also have, again, the inventory coming on that I've been talking about, and then which is going to create more competition, and you're going to have a lowering of rent costs because of that. Okay, so that's another reason the market is loosening up right now in apartments, and the more that loosens up, the more the CPI data inflation should start to drop out, because a third of it is shelter, and apartments make up a big deal about that. That should drop down and show that we continue to have inflation decreasing and not increasing. So anything under 50 is a looser apartment market. That's what you have right now. You've got 26 down from 31, 26 last month on this metric for the NMHC quarterly survey of apartment market tightness. So just a couple of years ago, we were at the highest level in the last 23 years. Okay, now we are down almost at the lowest, one of the lowest levels, the fourth lowest level, according to this chart, in the last 23 plus years. You can grab that chart, especially if you are an investor or work with a lot of investors or apartment people looking for apartments. You can show them that's down below in BAMX. You get the discount code Jerome for joining BAMX, 10% off. All right, new Zillow home price data for America's 30 largest metropolitan housing markets, month over month, year to date, down from peak year over year, and changed since March 2020. So let's go over this real quick. I can bring this back up tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be able to go through NAR's existing sales data for the month that just comes out. So maybe we'll use this in a comparison tomorrow. But you can see here that the change since 2020 on America's 30 largest metropolitan areas range from up 21%, okay, up 21% to the lowest being right here, 21% San Francisco, up to a high of 55%. And you see here Tampa, Florida at 55%. That's been the range for a price change since March 2020. Some are 22 of these 30 are below pandemic peak, but 8 of them are obviously up, and everybody's up over 21% since March 2020, many in the 30s, 40s, and even 50s. And this ranking here is basically the largest market. So the size, the way they have these 30, and this will be down below for you in the daily download for the hot sheet here on BAMX. This is they're ranked 1 through 30 by size. So that's why you see New York, LA, Chicago. By the way, LA, I think I saw on the news this morning, somebody in LA hit that Powerball. Interesting enough. $1 billion. Congratulations. Hopefully it was somebody listening to this right now. Dallas, number 4, Houston, number 5. So that's all just size, okay? Month over month, everybody except for Austin was up on price. Year to date, you've got a mixed bag there. You've got kind of half and half, up and down from the peak. You can see only 8 were in the blue. Year over year, 8 similar, down from the peak, and everybody's either 21% or more up. That'll be down below for you in the daily download in BAMX. Let's take a quick look at where we're at on the 10-year. This is really what we're watching, because if we can get a 10-year to go down, then we can get a finance, capital market and get some more lending coming on to the scenes, and we can get hopefully a lower 30-year fixed. So right now we're at 3.835 on the 10-year. That's up. That's not good news today for the 30-year fixed rate. We've been hovering around 7%, it seems like, for a month or a month plus. Yesterday we were at 6.9 on the daily survey. We'll also get the Freddie Mac 30-year fixed weekly survey later today, and we'll see where that comes in as well. Can't imagine much change there. All right. That's your hot sheet. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you're going to join me in hot Dallas in August 22nd to the 24th at the Tom Ferry Summit. It's a Super Bowl of all real estate events. I go every year. I've done it for, I don't know, probably 8 years straight. And if you want the lowest price on the internet for your ticket to Tom Ferry Summit, use the code PRBAMSS, PRBAMSS. We told them to use Jerome like the hot sheet, but they went with PRBAMSS to get $100 off your Tom Ferry Summit ticket. We will have a BAM Bash that we're announcing soon. That's going to be, I think it's going to be announced tomorrow, actually, to BAMX members first. Another reason to be a BAMX member, you find about all the good stuff first, and you're going to get access to the BAM Bash in Dallas if you are a BAMX member. And you can do that with the code Jerome down below on that link. Hope everybody has a great and productive day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the hot sheet. Until then, toodaloo.